Here with Jill Mueller. Um, so we're talking this week in the blog about same pageness and how you can get on the same page with everyone on your team. And in that blog, we talk about how it's kind of like getting everyone into the pool during a pool party. And Jill and I were talking about the way this shows up in our personal lives in addition to the workplace. So I was talking to a friend this morning who is opening up her world a little bit. She's going to go on a small getaway with her family members. She's super excited about it. But she's finding that there's just enough difference in the way they're managing COVID, and their own comfort levels and their boundaries are different. And it's starting to create some conflict that's undermining the otherwise fun parts of the trip. So for example, are we going to eat out? Are we going to try to cook? And if we're cooking, does that mean we get an Airbnb that has a kitchen? And it sort of turns into this big confliction situation, a big conflict. It's tricky. And I hear her saying, I just want to connect. And it feels really hard right now with all the extra factors.
Yeah, it's so funny how a year ago we weren't thinking about, can we go out to eat on vacation? Well, of course we want to go out to eat on vacation, and now it's become this thing. And even with my family, we're talking about seeing grandma again for the first time in a year, and what is grandma okay with, and what are all the brothers okay with. And same pageness is, it would be so much easier if everybody was on the same page. And in reality, we're just not, right? And if anything, anytime you put a group of people in a room, they're going to be different things that they disagree on. And now it just feels, as people are getting used to coming out again, there's just this extra layer of trying to figure out, what are we comfortable with? And maybe even where before you could sort of let things go of like, okay, well, this group was late and this group is always super early. When it comes to going out for drinks or staying in or going to an Airbnb or going to a hotel, it can feel like there's no compromise.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially something that can be very emotionally charged like this, I think it can be hard to go into those conversations with understanding. I think the inclination sometimes can be to want to convince other people of the page that you're on, and that's how you'll attain same pageness. And Jill and I have been talking today about how to try to approach those conversations from a place of understanding and same pageness that really includes a compromise or a respect for where everyone's at, without trying to really force your position on it in order to achieve that same pageness.
Yeah. And when we look at the thoughtfully fit practice of flexibility, flexibility is all about stretching to accept the other person right where they are. And in times of COVID, we really needed to stretch to accept. And I think looking at these conversations like this, where people have different comfort levels, people are going to look at things differently. And there's really there's no value in trying to convince somebody that they should be wearing a mask or they shouldn't be wearing a mask, right? Or what are the merits of getting the vaccine or not getting the vaccine? I mean, if you're into that discussion, Kara, I don't know about you. I'm so tired of just wearing a mask. I don't want to be talking to people about wearing a mask, right? And so flexibility challenges us to accept, okay, this is where people are at. They want to go out to eat at that restaurant, and maybe you don't. So instead of having the debate of who's right and who's wrong, and Tony Fauci this and the president this, right? Instead of having that debate, can you shift the focus of the conversation into one of acceptance and recognizing, okay, I accept your position. I hope that you accept my position. We're not necessarily going to change our minds on this, but how can we find a resolution for the visit to grandma's house or the vacation or the Friday night that we can finally all get together, and yet it feels fraught with all of this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate everything you just said. I also think there's an element of grace that needs to be here right now while we're all getting used to being around people again. Like there's this sort of an awkwardness right now of having been cooped up for months, and we're all getting used to that. And so to be graceful with yourself and graceful with others and patient, I think it's especially important right now if you're gonna really be able to make those connections that I think a lot of us really need right now.
Yeah. That's such a good point, Kara, because even having grace with yourself of just recognizing I'm not comfortable with this yet, and being okay with that and taking the time to think about it, and acknowledging, giving that other person grace as well if they're not ready for something. Um, all of this has been hard enough without adding on any additional conflict. So we want to give you a 1-minute workout that you can use to access your thoughtfully fit core when you need some flexibility. So if you are noticing with a friend or a loved one, and let's admit it, these conversations are harder when they're with friends and loved ones. When you need to, when you're in a conversation and you're noticing that things are just feeling a little angsty, things are feeling a little off kilter, hit that pause button and acknowledge that there are differences here. You don't need to convince anybody who's right and who's wrong, and you should see it my way and your way is the wrong way. Just acknowledge that there are differences there. And then think about how you want to proceed. And this might be tricky, right? There might not be an immediate answer. It might feel like, well, either we go out to dinner or we don't go out to dinner. How are we supposed to find a compromise? Lean into your friendship, lean into your love, if you will, and commit to working together to find that resolution that you might be looking for. Now, it might be easy to get stuck in the think there, but remember to then take that action. Commit to finding that resolution and following through.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's something that I'm gonna have in my head this week as we're making plans and trying to connect with folks that we haven't in a while. I think that's really helpful. Thanks, Jill. I think one other thing I just want to add before we hop off here, every week on Wednesdays we send out thoughtfully fit tips, and they include a 1-minute workout like this, a really quick little pause, think, act that's going to help keep these things top of mind. So if you're interested in signing up for that, I'll put a link in the comments. Make sure you can find it there, find it on our website, and just keep thoughtfully fit top of mind to be practicing this. That's what's going to make it easier, and eventually it will make things feel easier, make these COVID conflicting times feel easier. So good luck with it, and happy practicing thoughtfully fit, and we'll see you back here next week.